Great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for tonight's post-match press conference featuring White Ball head coach Rob Walter following the conclusion of the four-match T20 series between South Africa and India. As per the previous one, there is an online component. It's just fully in the room, so we'll look to get started straight away. Who would like to take the first one? Telford?
Rob, that was South Africa's heaviest defeat in this format against a team who few months ago you took very deep into a World Cup final and even beat them the other day. How do you explain a performance like that?
Yeah, there's probably a number of reasons for it. I think realistically, if a team gets 280, the margins, you're either winning it or you're going to lose by a mile. You know, there's no in-betweens, I don't think. So when a rate gets up to 20 and over by the fifth over, then it's only going one way from there unless someone does something unbelievably amazing in terms of the cricket space. So, yeah, I mean, I think they've batted particularly well. They certainly showed a skill set that was better than what we could offer with the ball. I mean, their intent was, as I said, was right up there. Their movement in the crease, they certainly made it very difficult to bowl to them. And then also just the quality of the cricket that they played. So they put a relatively inexperienced bowling lineup under pressure and capitalised on that. So, as I said, you get 280. Those games either go one or two ways, and it went the other way for us.
Stu, then Zahir.
Rob, over the course of the series, there were 40 wides from South Africa. Obviously, part of that is to do with an inexperienced side, but there didn't seem to be a case of them solving that particular issue. Why was this happening in amongst the rest of the bowling, which struggled as well?
So half of those wides are explained by bowlers being put under pressure. So if you're under pressure and you're travelling, the default is obviously to try go to the wide line. If you're going to miss, you're going to miss on the outside, because if you miss on the inside, like you've seen, you go for six. So a bowler will always make the error on the outside, same as the short ball. The short ball wides are, ultimately they're an error because you've been put under pressure. And then in amongst that, you've got guys who just not fully in control of their bowling action, at times. So a guy like Marco Jansen is trying to get the ball to come into a left-hander. If it hits the seam and keeps going, it's four wides, So it's not good enough, of course. It's not like through lack of trying. It's not through lack of effort. In a series like you have when you're turning around very quickly, it's not like you spend hours training. You can't, because you're playing every second day. So really it's for us to move away and just go back and continue to work very hard on our skill set, which wasn't good enough, pretty simply, really.
Zahir?
Rob, just in addition to that, we've seen Eric Simons come in at major tournaments, but he doesn't seem to be with the team in bilateral series. Do you feel that you need continuity with your bowling coach, and particularly if you have inexperienced bowling there?
I mean, I've said it before, that is the ideal, and we're certainly searching for consistency. Unfortunately, it won't be with Eric. It's just not possible. The two worlds don't match with regards to international cricket and franchise cricket from a coaching point of view. So Anton is on board at the moment, and certainly will be trying to be consistent with him for a period of time, for the sake of the players, really, just to create some consistency in our coaching environment.
Who would like to take the next one?
Hi there. You spoke a bit about continuity in the bowling department from a coaching perspective, but what about from the players' perspective? I mean, a lot of the first team bowlers are injured and stuff like that, so just wanted a bit of an injury update on some of the first team bowlers, and will they be back for the summer going forward?
I think the only injury that we're currently dealing with is Lungi Ngidi. So he's a longish term injury, which has been reported. As for the rest, the reality is that some guys are being rested to be ready for the Test series, because that is a premium now. It's a real focus for us, given that we can qualify for the World Test Championship. So we have to, consider South African cricket first and foremostly. So we make those decisions to rest guys like Kagiso Rabada. I mean, in the same breath, to grow the net of players, there's times we have to play younger guys, even in big series against good teams, and ultimately that's where they're going to learn the most, So it's really a balancing act, and there's no right or wrongs. We're trying to get it right. We're trying to get rest right. We're trying to get rotation right. We're trying to get exposure right, all at the same time. It doesn't excuse the performance. We still need to be better, and that starts with me as the head coach of the team.
Cool. We're going to go Stu, then Kanyiso.
All of that being said, Proteas conceded over 203 times in this series, and yet someone like Otniel Bartman didn't play at all. Is there a reason behind that?
Just in this instance, we're giving exposure to Luto Sepamla from a bowling point of view, Naba Peter before that. So yeah, this again, it's a balancing act. We're trying to move our team forward. As I said after the World Cup, everyone needs to play their part in terms of transforming this team and making it more representative. So, that's part of a journey.
Kanyiso.
Speaking of balancing acts and growing the net, South Africa have the team itself hasn't done well in bilateral series as yet. They've shown up in the tournaments. How do you balance needing to perform in bilaterals and also rocking up for tournaments? Whereas in the past, South Africa would play well in bilaterals but not show up in tournaments.
Well, the easy answer is that when we go to the world tournaments, we're picking our very best 15 players. But we can't pick those same 15 players every single time we play because it's just not feasible. There's just too much cricket. So the rest of the time we have to build our base of players up to be to the same level. So which is what you're seeing with the Indian side, right? There's a number of players that are not here right now, but their fringe players are stepping up. And creating pressure on the guys that fulfill the main 11, So ultimately, if you look at the stats around the number of players used by the different international sides, they all sit in the same space over the last 2 years, in between 30 and 36 players roughly. So everyone's attempting to do the same thing because the cricket landscape is actually the same for everyone. If you look at win percentages of those teams, they actually all sit in a similar space as well in 50-over cricket and T20 cricket, barring India and Australia in T20 cricket, because obviously India, as you know, have won 24 out of 26 this year. So everyone's in a fairly similar position when it comes to bilateral cricket. Again, there's no excuses. We haven't played well enough, and that's quite simple. But how do you figure out where you're at? Is you've got to go and compete with the best exposed players at the highest level and see where they're at and understand what we need to work on.
We're going to wrap with Sahir.
Rob, you're at the mercy of the schedule, at the mercy of all these factors. But if you take someone like Heinrich Nortje, he only plays home games in domestic cricket. I want to qualify for the Champions Trophy, so play one day cricket. How do you manage somebody like that within your system?
It's obviously difficult. There's so many factors, not just one. The reality is a guy like Heinrich, I certainly wouldn't doubt his want to play for South Africa and his commitment to do that. I think he made a decision personally around contracting so that he could move away from playing Test cricket for a while, because I think physically he was finding it a bit tough to do everything, and I respect that. At the end of the day, again, when it comes to the world tournaments, we want to pick our best side, and if he is one of those best players, we consider him. Just Shamo has done exactly the same thing. So I think we need to pay cognizance of what's happening in world cricket. It's not easy, and the national side is competing with franchise cricket, and the money lies in franchise cricket, not international cricket. That's the reality that we live in, and so the balancing act continues.
Just, your record as major tournaments is untouched, basically. But are you starting to feel that I need to win a series? I'm starting to feel I'm under pressure. I need to win a bilateral series, or do I stay on this path of 2027, 2026? Is that the long-term goal, or do the short-term goals start becoming more and more?
It's incredibly difficult, to be dead honest. Every coach has great pride in the job that they produce. Ultimately, the performance of the team rests with me. I'm the head coach, so I'm responsible for that. So to lose series, to lose games of cricket, it never sits well. you know, if we don't move forward as a side, that doesn't sit well either, because ultimately, you know, we need to continually be moving forward at the very least. So there's some instances where we've not grown. That's disappointing again. So do I feel pressure from anyone other than myself? No, I feel the greatest pressure from me personally as a coach who's got great pride in the job that he does, but also in pride for the country and the Proteas as a cricket team, and wanting to make sure that they represent the country well. So that's where the pressure comes in, because tonight is not a good example of how we want to play. Losing a series is not what we want to stamp our name towards, and certainly beginning with me, yeah, that's highly disappointing. I want the team to be better, and it starts with me being better for the team.
Great. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Rob.